Hey, it's time to open up your ears and your eyes. You are now tuned in to Grip It and Rip It. Know what I'm talking about? Grip it and rip it. Okay. Grip it and rip it. Rip it. Grip it and grip it and grip it and rip it. Rip it and rip it. Grip it and grip it and grip it and rip it. Rip it and rip it. Grip it and grip it and grip it and rip it. Grip it and rip it. Grip it and grip it and grip it. Welcome in H-Town. You are now tuned in to Grip It and Rip It. I'm your host, J.R. Wilson, coming to you live at 5 No Time for Jive. And let me let you know something before we get started, that this show is the flavor for your wings. All right, the sugar for your Kool-Aid, the gravy for your mashed potatoes. All right, this is where we are. And look, this show aims to please, but if you ain't pleased, it ain't a thing to me. So look here, tighten up your boots, hold them tight to the saddle, put your seatbelt on, let's ride. I don't intend to play with it, but to stay with it. Today I have a special guest with me, my man, Alan the Man, okay? And I love Alan the Man. He's somebody who is politically incorrect, as he would put it. But he's an individual that I believe, man, he whatever comes up, comes out, no doubt about it. But he's speaking the real. We don't always agree with everything that he says, but I like that he does not hold back. There's no hold bars with this. There's no hold bar with this man. And I feel as though I'm the same way. So we're going to get off into this thing. But before we do, I need y'all to do me a favor, those of y'all who are watching this. First of all, share this link. Share it with your people, with your partners, with your family. All right? And tell them to share it with somebody, because everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. You understand? The next thing I need you to do is subscribe to my channel, Grip It and Rip It Sports, okay? Also, right after that, hit that little bell so you don't miss a thing that's coming from Grip It and Rip It. All right? Follow me on Twitter. No, that's Solid Grip. Follow me on Twitter. I know this is a funky little handle, okay? But that's all Twitter will give me when I put my name in. @grip_and. So y'all follow me on Twitter. All right. Now we're going to get this thing started. First off, Alan, how you feeling over there?
Well, since I'm the cheese to your Mac, I'm feeling pretty good.
I like it, man. I like it. My God. Yeah, Alan, man, look, we're going to get sizzling hot real quick, real fast. All right, now there's something, Alan, that I told you, man, I wanted to talk about, that I think I have the remedy. I have the anecdote, okay, for the NFL. Right now, okay, and we're going to deal with the NBA here in a second. Right now, the NBA has shown, okay, it's been shown that out of all the players and staffs over the last week, no one has tested positive for the coronavirus because they are in a bubble in Orlando, okay? Now, everybody might not agree or be in concurrence with what's going on. Nevertheless, they're in a bubble, and what they're doing seems to be working. So if it's working that way, then I think that other sports should follow suit. That's just what I think should happen. So, Alan the Man, I have the anecdote, and I'm about to tell you what it is right now, okay? The NFL should quickly develop a bubble as the NBA has done. Where should they do it? The state that has had the least amount of COVID cases in the last 14 days, that is the state of Vermont, okay? Now, where you can have it at is the University of Vermont, which is the biggest college in Vermont. I don't know if that's saying a whole lot, okay? You can have it there, and you can, have all the players come down, put them in hotels around the university, or, some middle playing field, and they all play at one field. Now, if they can't do it there, if the university is not big enough to do that, there are other places that are low in count for COVID cases as well, too, like Maine, North Dakota, South Dakota. You could use those places. And maybe North Dakota would be the best because you have North Dakota State University, who pretty much wins the freaking, collegiate championship in all sports every year. That'd be a good place to have it. That's what I think should happen, because here's the thing. People in this country, besides yourself, you like the only one. People in this country love football. They love baseball. They love basketball. They love soccer, golf, all that. But football is king in the United States of America. If anybody would like to refute that, it's irrefutable. Okay? You'd be alive. You said that you are able to do so. But football's king here, Alan. So what I think needs to happen is they need to create a bubble swiftly. They have less than 6 weeks, but the NFL has a lot of money. They can do it. Tell me what you think, Alan, man.
I thought about that, and I need to correct you. I actually appreciate football. It's a sport I actually grew up with. I mean, it was my babysitter was the Chicago Bears when I was 2 years old. My mom would put me in the disco chair, and I would sit literally as a 2-year-old for 3.5 hours watching a Bears game. I wouldn't move. I mean, if that's something. So I like the sport. I just don't buy into the romantic mythology of how tough it is and all this stuff. Blah blah blah. Yeah, okay. Give me more roids and we'll talk later. But anyway, your point is good, but you've missed a lot of other outlying potential here.
Okay, talk to me.
32 teams in one bubble at the University of Vermont. You're going to play 16 games on one field each week. Not going to happen. But I did think you're onto something. So what I thought of, wouldn't it be interesting? You could do a lot with this, and you don't have to do it for the whole year, at least in the beginning, right? So I thought, why couldn't they do this for a 7-week period? Well, during the season and maybe a 3-week lead up. So you got 10 weeks in this bubble, right? I've actually really thought this out. You put all 8 divisions, right?
Right.
Pick a location. So like the AFC East goes into Vermont. NFC East goes somewhere to like New Hampshire. You put the divisions and like you could put the Western teams in Montana, Wyoming, maybe some outlier and maybe Reno, Nevada, where it's not so bad. Okay.
Right.
And you put them in 8 bubbles. You play out your division schedule the first 6 weeks. So you play double headers at these locations each week. So you have like the Bears against the Vikings in North Dakota. You have the Packers versus the Lions. Double headers. You can regionalize them so you can get most of the games. You may even be able to do a Sunday, Monday, like Monday night doubleheader would be one of the divisions, right. Whatever. And then you play out your division, just get division schedule out of the way, right?
Right.
Because think about this. That's more important than anything, because if the season has to get shortened, at least you guys have dealt with that inner squabble. And let's say the Packers come out 5-1 and they're the first place of that division after 6 games. If the season has to get cut short, well, there really isn't a complaint if they get the number 1 seed out of the league, out of that division. Well, then what ends up happening is you get that out of the way. The 7th week becomes and you can even start and by the way, you could have 6 weeks or 6 divisions play the first week. The first 2 of them have a bye. You rotate your bye week. The 7th week would be the last week of play with another bye. So you go literally 2 months in these little bubbles, give the Corona a chance to maybe, well, it's America. We're probably going to perfect the art of being a screw up during a pandemic, but whatever.
Right.
You perfect, you get this thing out of the system. And then after week 7, you all go back home, hopefully. And then you start playing games in your home facilities, hopefully. And if not, all you have to do is rotate locations. So you can actually have let's say the AFC East play the AFC West you have 8 teams on a location and you play a quadruple hitter. You play at 10 o'clock, a 1 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and a 7. You can just go through see, think about it. You play your division, that's 6 games. You play the other 3 divisions, that's a total potential of 12, but you don't have to play 12, you play 10.
Right.
And you just rotate locations after that and you play at 4 sites.
Right.
You get what I mean? Because by then
you just keep what you do is you keep private planes, right, for them to travel in. Yeah. Okay, unless it's in close proximity, then you can get buses for them to travel in. And if everybody is testing negative for the COVID, for the coronavirus, then you got something on your hands here, man. I mean, what you've done was kind of taken my idea and expounded on it. And I love the idea of having, having all of the conferences. Having all of the divisions all separated, play the first 6 weeks together. Or when they have to, when they start playing the other teams, whether they play, whether the AFC West plays like the NFC North, right? They go to that bubble, okay? So you can create several bubbles. Right, create several bubbles and make sure they're real bubbles, though, because even the NBA is compromised for the simple fact that the staff still goes home. Even though they're screened before they come in, they still go home. So I think that it would be a great idea to create these real-like bubbles. That way you don't have a situation where players are because the NFL lasts for about 4 months, okay? So you don't have players that are they're fettered inside for 4 months straight, not being able to see their families, wives, children, whatever the case is, not being able to get out. But to do it in an illustrious way, they don't have time to do that. But they do have time to makeshift one where they can play the entire season, make this sacrifice, okay? Because then towards the end of the season, maybe even into the playoffs, Alan, you might have an opportunity for people to actually start entering into the facilities, okay? If we've actually capped off the coronavirus, which I don't know if we're even able to do that because the numbers are continuing to spike. You know what I mean? So with that being said, that's a great idea, man. And go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, think about this too. I mean, even though I think America is, the virus itself, that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. But I mean, I'm still empathetic to the human need, and I think staying somewhere like if you put the NFC North in North Dakota, you put the AFC South maybe in South Dakota, at the Dakota Dome,
Right.
you can. I think people can hang loose for 6-7 weeks and manage. But I think once hopefully things at least die down a little bit, and you moved 8 teams to one location, or 8 teams to one location, maybe in that time frame, the league could also find maybe a different location in a different state, maybe a section of California that has no cases or very few, or a section of Texas or whatever that by then has died out. You create a new bubble. People can change to a new location, give them a new fresh start, like somewhere else. Because if you're sitting in North Dakota for 6-7 weeks, you're going to go nuts and want to hang yourself. So, I mean, move them to another place.
Right.
Like, at least change the location after a few months, change it up so they don't go bonkers and go Jack Nicholson on the hotel staff. They
got to make a sacrifice. I mean, I know the only thing in the Dakotas is Mount Rushmore. Okay, that's
South Dakota. North Dakota is just.
Well, that's why I said Dakotas, because what's in North Dakota other than lakes and bison? Okay?
A wood chipper and a guy's leg sticking out of it. That's about it.
So
that's
that'd be something great for the NFL to implement. I don't know if they're gonna do that. I know that they're losing sleep over how they're going to do it right now. They just put this little preliminary / tentative contractual thing together about how they're going to do things in the rules.
Right.
But they're going to have to keep bringing that back to the table, and they're going to have to reconvene because the NFL has to live. It has to live. And we see baseball might be dying out because you got a lot of guys that have contracted the coronavirus. And in the NBA, they seem to be doing a good job. But let's talk about something else pertaining to the NBA. Now, the NBA is back, and I'm glad for it. Sports seems to be back in full effect. But you said something to me, man, that really had me scratching my head a little bit. And when I thought about the title to put in here, I said, man, let me put something in here, man, that's going to cause a volley betwixt us about are the old school players better than the new school players. And this is what I want to say. Obviously, they're different eras. Obviously, the physicality of the game is not the same. But I would argue, okay, not that I would argue like Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. Ali is, by far the greater fighter, okay? I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. But I will say this. Players are bigger, stronger, faster.
No.
Not tougher.
Incorrect.
Bigger, stronger, faster, okay?
Incorrect.
So when you got guys like Steph Curry, okay? Now, Steph Curry does something, man, that my coach, when I was growing up, would have put me on the bench for, right? He doesn't take it to the rack a whole lot. He'll get right behind that arc. He'll pull the ball up, fast break, and shoot a three. You know what I mean? You would get put on the bench when I was growing up for doing something like that. They want you to take it to the hole, draw the foul. You know what I'm saying? Finish up. If you don't make it, finish up at the free throw line. But now, man, they come down on a fast break. It'll be 4-on-1, and the guy with the ball in his hand, he'll pull up behind the arc and shoot a tray. So it's not like it used to be, but I don't know if you put a team together that's old school. It depends on what rules they had to play by. If they had to play by the new school rules, then the old schools would get done in. But if you play by the old school rules, then I believe old schools would do the new schools in. But I mean, you tell me how you feel about that. That's my opinion.
Well, see, I've done a lot of homework on this and research because basketball is my true love, and I'm just so disappointed in how it's the only sport in America that has truly gotten worse. First off, it's incorrect. They're not faster, stronger, and they're maybe bigger because there's been more of an emphasis on weight training and all that stuff. To my recollection, the highest verticals on record came from players that were born or played before the 21st century. I mean, I think 3 or 4 of the 50-inch verticals came from guys back then. So So much for
yeah.
that.
We need a proof text for that, okay? Recollection and proof are two different things. Go ahead, I'm listening.
But I mean, but muscle mass has something to do with that. The verticals are not as high as they used to be overall because guys were lighter back then. Keep that in mind. Muscle will weigh you down.
Okay.
So it's it goes back and forth. In terms of skill, they're not even close. And this is the one thing a lot of people who like to defend the modern game just don't understand. And I try to point it out, and I'll point it out very simply for anyone who watches this. Okay, I'll speak slowly. If these guys are supposedly more skilled, which they're not, if they're allegedly more athletic, which they're not, they're good. There's more I'll say this: there are more athletes playing it because the game has expanded in the last 30 years. More players play it. I mean, if you think about it, the NBA was a relatively young league. It started in the late 40s, 50s range. NFL and baseball were playing early, 21st or 20th century. So they had a good generation or two advancement on current NBA and whatever. So
Right.
you had all these athletes that were average and some were good. Now we have more athletes playing, but that doesn't necessarily make them better players. Now, why is it that everyone says they're more skilled, yet the game is easier to play than it's ever been? Why would you sit there and tell me that you are a better athlete and better skilled when I dribble the ball with my hand above the ball? I cannot go like this. I cannot go like this. I can't lift it and carry it. I can't do Steph Curry, who goes through a double team by picking up the ball, stopping the ball's movement, which you're not allowed to do, by the way. The rules haven't changed, and be able to scoop it and push it through people when I'm allegedly more talented and more skilled. Why am I allowed now to push off with the dribble when back then, if my arm extended past the length of the plane of verticality, I would get an offensive foul? Why, if I'm a better athlete and better skilled, am I allowed now to change my pivot feet? If you notice, the skill of a sport, it doesn't matter if it's basketball, soccer, whatever, the skill is offense. Defense is coaching, want, desire, preparation, just wanting to stop you. So that takes less skill. You don't go out in the summer and practice your slides. You go out and practice your dribbling, your passing, your shooting,
Right.
all that stuff. That's skill development. Skill is offense, right? So if you're more skilled, then why is the game made easier for the 21st century? And it's because they're not skilled. In fact,
it's because of entertainment, right?
Well,
before they played the game out of pure grit, right?
Bingo.
Sure grit, yeah.
So when you compare a player who has to dribble the ball like Isaiah Thomas under today's rules, see, here's the thing you're wrong about. The offensive players back then, today, would destroy today's game. Defensively, they would have trouble because they wouldn't be able to do some of the things to stop you. But they also would have to be guarded by the same rules. So now you're going to take a guy like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, even Magic, who I think was slightly overrated but good. You take all these guys from the 80s, Dr. J, and now allow them to carry a ball, to push off completely, to change pivots. What do you think Hakeem Olajuwon would have done today? What do you think even David Robinson, who was soft as cream cheese, would have done today? I mean, are you kidding me? These guys would dominate the game on an offensive level. Larry Bird, let's talk racism. Oh, yeah, Larry Bird wouldn't have made it today. Stop it. Why? Because he's not tan? Give me a break, dude. Larry Bird would have dominated today. He would have dominated.
I'm going to tell you where the domination would have came at, Alan. The domination would have came in the paint. Okay, that's where the domination would have came at. For the older school players, it would have predominantly came in the paint. Now, you're talking about Larry Bird. Larry Bird was wet from 15 feet, 17 feet, wet, okay? And you don't see those shots being taken. Chris Paul is probably the only individual in the NBA that still shoots 15-footers, man, because he sees the value in them. Now players, man, if they not dunking or laying it up or floating it, they shooting behind the arc, man. You know what I mean? So go ahead.
And if I want to point out one thing, here's the thing I think is the most hilarious thing. And like the millennials like to yell at me, oh, you're an old man. I'm barely just turned 50, dude. I'm not that freaking old. And the thing is that if I coached basketball again today, one thing people don't understand, I like the three-pointer. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. What people don't realize, though, is to be a better three-point shooting team or an individual, You have
Yeah.
to do other things.
Right.
Because what ends up happening is if you become so one-dimensional as a three-point shooter, you make it easier for a team to defend you. So my mentality always was, let's find spots on the floor to either get you out of a shooting rut or get you some rhythm. So if I like to attack the rim, if I like to pull up from the Chris Paul 15, what that does is it makes the defender go, well, how am I going to guard you? And if I've taken you to the hole a few times, pulled up a few times in your face, use a screen to get a 12-8, whatever, it makes you then wonder, well, should I give him an extra step? Should I give you more room between me and you so you don't burn me? Well, guess what? I'm popping a 3 in your eye if you do that. And what people don't realize is we now live in an era, and people just don't understand it, or they just don't, they're so self-medicated, they can't accept truth. They shot 55,000 more three-pointers last year than they did in the last year of Jordan's first three-peat in the league. Okay, 55,000 more threes. They shot and made an average of 9 more per game than they did back then. That's 27 points.
That's an exponential difference. I mean, okay, so look, think about what we're talking about, Alan. We're talking about what the game is all about now, right? It's all about
right, but they're shooting 36% from the three-point line compared to 33% back then when it was a hobby.
Right.
Now they shoot 36%, taking, I think depends on who you talk to, you take 20 practice shots for every shot made, right? So that means that we're talking 1.5 million more practice shots taken by these pros to make 3% more. That sucks. I mean, that's a lack of efficiency. And what they're also doing it against is no defense. So back then, they shot 33% with a guy in their face and grabbing them, compared to now when they don't forget, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, all these guys, Clyde Drexler, whoever, they were shooting threes as an occasional, occasional folly. They didn't practice it like they do today.
Right.
These kids, and they didn't grow up shooting it.
That's what I'm saying.
Curry and these guys were shooting 3 since they were 5, and they only make 3% more. Do you realize how garbage that is? You're going to practice that much and shoot it that much and have the ability to push off, to get room to shoot, to carry the ball, to get space to shoot, to literally, do the things they do, change pivot, and you're shooting 3% more after taking probably 50 million more attempts than the guys back then. You're horrible. You're horrible. And that's why the sport, and what I've seen today, these first few days, 140 points in a game, the game is embarrassing. These guys wouldn't have been able to score up against anyone. But you're correct. If you played under these rules, they would have a better chance to win than they would have the old school rules. But I still take the old school top elite guys. However, if I were to develop a bench, I would take the new guys, because the bench, I think, overall is more athletic overall, whatever. But players-wise, absolutely not, dude. There is no, man, JR, these guys, they don't know what havoc would be if you gave those guys back. Tim Hardaway, with the greatest crossover in history, now allow him to carry the ball.
The second greatest crossover in history. And with that being
wait, who's the best?
Oh, Allen Iverson, man.
No, he carried the ball.
Allen Iverson.
He carried it. He cheated. He carried the ball. The ball stopped. The ball's not allowed to stop moving.
Does James Harden travel when he does his little step back? Okay. It's all subjective, right? You know what I mean? It's all subjective, right? Because it's predicated on what the referees are calling. Also, it's predicated on, hey, we want to see the game this way. I think what James Harden does is traveling, but it's his move. It's his special move. And since his special move brings that special shot behind it, that brings special people into the arena that buy special tickets that are really high, it puts more money in the pockets of those referees. Again, entertainment is what the game has turned into. Now, I wasn't on the side of the newcomers, but I did, however, present what can be an argument for them, because the game they play now is a lot more fun to watch, I would say, at times. Now, here's the difference. The difference. When you had guys, think about it. When Jordan was doing what Jordan was doing, there was really only 1 or 2 other guys in the league that was looking like that, right? That was putting on a show like that, right? You got like Dominique Wilkins at the time, and then maybe Clyde Drexler, okay? Other than that, everybody else was a finesser, man. They was a finesser. If you was a post guy, you was in the post. If you was a wing guy, you was on the wing.
It was a grind. It was
Yeah,
more of a grind
it
game.
was a grind. It was a grind. You know what I mean? Like now, think about it. I'm 34 years old. So even though I'm on the you know, where it begins with millennials, I believe it's 1982. Okay, I was born in 85. So
81, 82, yeah.
but I'm 34. I came up when Akeem came up, when Elijah Warren came up, when Jordan came up, when Gary Payton came up, when Sean Kemp came up, players of that nature. Okay, the tail end of Magic Johnson. You know what I mean? Larry Bird. Like those were the guys. When my son was the age he's at right now at 11, I was watching, who I was emulating my game after. So I do, however, think that the game is a lot more watchable now. I want to see a guy. I want to see, you know, Golden State, as much as I hate them, as much as they're, you know, the Houston Rockets arch nemesis. I want to see them, you know, make 30 trades in a game. You know what I mean? It's exciting to see, but you don't see cats like MJ, because MJ, man, I mean, he's dunking on you, he's finessing. But what did he do most of the time? He shot those little 15 footers, man. You know what I mean? He scored, and so you know, people hate on James Harden, but don't realize how much of like Jordan he is. Okay, now he doesn't. Yes, think about it. Think about it. Think about it like
He's
this.
mentally so soft. In the playoffs, you might as well just hand him a popcorn shaker.
You could have said the same thing about Jordan before he won his first championship in '91. Okay, you could have said the same thing. Could have said the same thing till he got in the weight room. He was getting pushed. Oh man, come on! I'm old enough to remember that Detroit, the bad boys in Detroit was pushing Jordan around. Man, he was hot butter.
He still had good numbers though. He
had
good numbers.
Harden has great numbers in the playoffs.
No, he does. He shoots 21% from the field in the playoffs half the time. He can't. Yeah. And by the way, how about those fourth quarters? I don't think he can even spell the term fourth quarter. He doesn't know what they look like. Don't compare the two.
The two is being compared in this way. And look, I got killed on my YouTube page when I made a comparison of Colin Kaepernick and Pat Tillman. Oh, they were killing me, okay? Because Brett Favre had made mention that you know, Colin Kaepernick should be looked at as a hero, as Pat Tillman was. And so when I got on there, and I somewhat agreed with Brett Favre in the sense of Colin Kaepernick giving up something for something that was greater than himself. Oh, they killed me. Here came all these de facto fake patriots, you know what I mean, coming at me hard, man, about, you know, Cap was a joke and all this here. But anyways, I digress. I say this because when you think about James Harden, what does he do? He scores. He scores, right? Just what Jordan does. Either he's going to the hole or he's shooting that tray. Any way he can score, he's going to score. That's what James Harden does. He's
for the first three quarters, right?
No doubt. But I mean, I've seen him go out. Yeah, I mean, it's only a couple of guys in history, man, who got that switch. You know what I mean? They just turn it on. That's why I hated Kobe Bryant so much, man. You know what I'm saying? I did. Every time he came here, man, fourth quarter, man, he would kill us. I remember one game we was playing him. I think that's back when we had Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming and Kelvin Cato. And, man, we were killing the Lakers by about 15 and fourth quarter. Here comes the Mamba. You know what I mean? Turn it on and end up winning the game, man. And so, man, we've gone way over the clock on the wall. Say that's all, y'all. But, man, look, I don't argue with you. On that point, Alan, man, I definitely think that the grit that the old school players had, man, would destroy. But I think the game today is just more fun to watch. That's why players are getting paid crazy. You had a lot of those players back in the old school players. They still had day jobs, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the off season, they had to get a job. Yeah, they had to get a job, man. You know what I mean? So
I will say one thing. It's more fun. It's more flowing now, but I will say it's not as fun sometimes when the game becomes so predictable. I mean, oh, here comes another three. Oh, here's another foul call. I mean, 150 to 149 is not fun because you know they're just going to score. But I think it's more, I don't even think fun's the right word. It's more artistic looking.
Okay.
That might be the word because grind ball is grind ball, you know, but it is, I mean, there's passing, there's a lot of shooting, the ball's all over the place. But the funny thing is, people don't realize about it, the game's pace of play was faster than it is now. People don't realize it's actually faster in the 80s and part of the 90s than it's ever been. And so there's a little bit of a misnomer there. It's just that it included defense. And until this league allows defense again, the league is a joke.
Right.
And the players playing it are mostly a joke. including LeBron. LeBron needs to stop recruiting players to make them look good.
Well, Alan, man, I certainly appreciate you coming on here. You know, this ain't your first time and won't be your last time. This is your first time on Grip It and Rip It, but this won't be your last time, and I certainly appreciate you. The clock on the wall say that's all y'all, so it's time to get up out of here, but there's one thing I need y'all to do before we leave. I need you to share the link. I also, hey, I'm finna put you on the spot, Alan the Man, so get ready. I also want y'all to go check out Alan the Man. He has his YouTube channel, and it's called what? Boom.
USA of Americant. It's Americant with apostrophe S. It has the main pictures of me squirting Lysol in my mouth because, you know, that's the way to cure the COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, why not just do it that way?
Yeah. So, hey, you was ready this time, man. But yeah, y'all go check him out, man. Again, he's politically incorrect, but he comes from the heart, not the head, or no, the head, not the heart, whichever one you want to call it. And but he's definitely coming on there and he's spitting some real stuff. He's saying some real stuff that most people don't want to hear, and it would probably make you be repulsive unless you're an acceptor of truth. Okay, and that's what it is. And subscribe to his channel. Also subscribe here at Grip It and Rip It. Also at The Solid Grip. Okay, and follow me on Twitter. That is at grip_and. All right. I appreciate y'all for watching this. Again, y'all share the link. Stay with your boy. Go check my man Alan the Man out. Okay. And I'll try to put his handle in the description. If not, just go back and watch the video again and you'll hear him say it. But for me, J.R. Wilson, for Alan the Man, this is Grip It and Rip It. Grace and peace to all y'all.
Hey, it's time to open up your ears and your eyes. You are now tuned in to Grip It.